everybody, it's Scott Steen with the winnersandwhiners.com, and welcome to Today in Sports Betting. It's great to have you along, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, partner in crime, all the way from Long Island, New York. He is Scott Reichel. Scott, good day, sir. How are you today?
Doing pretty well. It was fun going over the UFC 249 card yesterday, and now we're stepping out to talk about some wrestling. Can't say I'm not familiar with it, but it should be entertaining, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I was doing a little prep, a little background on this show, and I realized how much the wrestling, how much it churns. It just gets new names out there. A lot of the stuff I'm not familiar with. So it's a good thing we brought in an expert today. He is known as the Dominator over there at Winners and Winers. You know him, you love him. It's David Hess, coming all the way from the great state of Maine, up there in the Northeast. Dave, I understand you guys are going to have a big possible May snowstorm. Is that coming?
It looks like it, but I'm on the coast kind of, so I think it's more interior New England that's going to get the bulk of it. We are expecting rain and lots of wind here, so it'll be like a nor'easter, but no.
Well, Dave, you'll have to stay inside then, okay?
Yeah, that's not a problem.
For those of you who don't know, the Dominator is the quarantine champ now 5 years running. So congratulations on that title, my friend. And it's all seriousness, it's good to have you with us. I know you are you're a passionate sports fan, but you do have a special love of the WWE. And since betting on the WWE is not necessarily a new thing, but I think joining the mainstream at some of the more prominent betting sites is sort of a new thing. So it is good to have you with us, because if we say winners and whiners, if you can bet on it, you can bet we're talking about it. And the WWE this Sunday night's Money in the Bank special is something that you can absolutely place a bet on. So welcome to our show. Welcome to a little bit of breakdown, and hopefully by the end of this show, you'll have an idea about where your money should be. So, Dave, start with a little background here. Monday Night's Raw was the lowest rated Raw of all time. So Vince McMahon, he's scrambling, and he is usually more often than not able to pull a rabbit out of his hat. So, what do you expect? Just an overview on Sunday night's card. Anything different? Anything that you're looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to the actual Money in the Bank matches, the ladder matches, because they start on the ground floor of the WWE headquarters in Connecticut, and they work their way all the way to the top, and the ladders are held over a ring, or the briefcases are held over a ring, and they got to fight their way up the corporate ladder, as they call it. WWE thought outside the box in this one, and it's nice.
Yeah,
it's a cinematic is what they call it, just like the Boneyard match at WrestleMania.
And I know that we were talking before the show that we think this has already been taped. Do you have any idea how many hours it took to tape this?
I can't imagine. I know the Boneyard match, and that was just two wrestlers. Well, they had a couple extras, thrown in there, but that took 8 hours to tape. So I have a feeling that this one took a while, because you are having both women and men's matches happening at the same time. So there's 12 people fighting for the top to get to the top of a building.
All right. So maybe I'm a geek, but I'm excited to get to it. You know what? We got to start off, though. We got to start off with some appetizers. Have a little salad before we get to the main event. So we're going to start off the way that it was listed on the Betting Online website in orders of importance. And Dave, you'll have to correct us if that's not the way that this is listed. Let's start off with the SmackDown Women's Championship between Bayley and Tamina. Bayley's listed as a prohibitive favorite, -500, while Tamina clocks in at +300. Scott, what are your thoughts? I'm kidding.
No, I looked into it a little bit, so I actually
tell me what you got, bud.
Overall, yeah, I think this line's warranted. I think Bayley should be roughly -500. From what I heard about both of these wrestlers, that Tamina wasn't really that big of a draw initially, and then recently she's been on a little bit of a hot streak, and she kind of found her way to climb up the ladder. And I don't know, I feel like this is just a big step up in competition for her. And even though she finally has become a little bit more relevant in the female wrestler scene, I just think that this opponent here is a little bit too tough for her. I think Bayley should be favored. I think she'll probably win. I'm not really fully sold on Tamina. It seems like her meteoric rise lately has been a little bit manufactured. So for that reason, I think the champion will stay the champ.
Look at you.
Did that sound good? That sounded good in my head.
That was good.
That is outstanding. Dave, tell us why Scott's full of crap. No, is there any value on Tamina at plus 300, bud?
I don't think so. Like I said before our show, I don't go to the sites that, there are sites out there that give you spoilers. I don't like the spoilers. I like to be surprised. But WWE sometimes can be predictable. And this is one I've also, I stated to Scott Reich's show before the show also that there's a couple of matches that I feel are setting up for the long haul. And this is one of them. Bayley is going to win this match, I feel. And Tamina, she just shows up, once every few years. She gets a push, but she never really wins the title. They throw her out there as someone who's dominant and powerful, and but then the weaker champ or the weaker person usually wins the match. And I think that's what's going to happen here. And I also see them setting it up because Bayley and her friend Sasha Banks are, they are best friends in the ring, and I feel that they're setting it up for events. Sasha's going to turn on her, or Bayley's going to turn on Sasha. One of the two.
A heel turn is coming. You're saying?
Yeah, a turn is coming. They're both heels actually, so it'd be a face turn.
Ooh, face turn.
Yeah, that's what they call it in WWE.
Going the other way, absolutely.
Yeah, so I have a feeling that it's going to be Sasha Banks that's going to they're going to eventually square off against each other for the title. So, and with that being said, I have a feeling that, it's just not going to be Tamina's night. Another thing is you watch for is, Tamina's been dominant the last couple of nights on SmackDown. And, that a lot of times when the pay-per-view rolls around, it happens the other way. They'll be dominant and then they'll get beat. So I have a feeling that's what's going to happen here.
Now, was Sasha Banks, was she one of the two, companies that had, what was his name? Who was the guy that had the two, they weren't quite dancers, but they had.
He's now on Fox News.
Yes.
Sure. God, I can't remember his name. He's a host on one of their shows on Sunday nights, I think.
Yes, I have seen him on Fox News before.
Yeah,
yes.
he's not in WWE anymore, but I don't believe that she was one of him. She was part of the Four Horsewomen, I believe, in NXT with Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and I don't remember the fourth one.
Is it Pestilence?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I just know that she wasn't part of his dance crew.
Okay.
And I bet you I'll remember this after we get off the air.
Maybe by the end of the show, it seems like it's like tickling my brain, and I can't quite think, because he had like a kind of a money theme maybe or something. I don't know. All right. So speaking of themes, and David, I'll tell you, when I kind of stopped watching wrestling, it was about the time that NXT sort of got incorporated. So up until that point, I kind of knew most of the stories, at least from a distance, but all the NXT stuff and how all that kind of went down, that was about the time that I kind of lost track. So you have to forgive me for my lack of knowledge on some of this stuff. Let's talk about the Universal Championship match here with Bray Wyatt. Now, this is the most closely matched, or closely competitive, the most competitive match of the evening, according to the odds makers. All right, as Braun Strowman goes up against Bray Wyatt for the Universal Championship. Braun Strowman, he is by the way, an ex-member of the Bray Wyatt family. He's kind of the second wave of people that were in the family, which I didn't even know that was a thing. I knew they had the first two guys, they kind of went their own way, but then apparently they had a second wave of family members, and Braun Strowman was one of the sheep mask wearing Bray Wyatt family members. Braun Strowman listed at -130. Bray Wyatt is -110. Dave, they've cleaned up Bray Wyatt a little bit. They've given him his own little kid show there, the Firefly Funhouse. And they've kind of had some bad blood here. What do you think kind of happens in this one?
This is another one where I feel that they're setting up for the future. Bray Wyatt, yes, he was part of the Wyatt family. He was brought, or not Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman came up. Bray Wyatt got him into WWE as part of the Wyatt family. He was called the Black Sheep, hence is why he wore the Black Sheep mask. Then, they went their separate ways, basically. But Bray is also called the Fiend. He wears a Fiend mask, and he'll wrestle either as Bray Wyatt or as the Fiend. Now, reports are showing that for this match, he's going to wrestle as Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt is a different persona than the Fiend. The Fiend will play mind games big time. Bray Wyatt will try to play mind games, but Braun isn't afraid of him. I have a feeling that they're setting this up so that Braun Strowman will win this match, and then when he faces the Fiend, that's when the Fiend will get his title back.
And was the Fiend the one that actually wrestled John Cena at WrestleMania?
Yeah, that was
that was the weirdest,
stupidest match ever.
Yes, I'm glad that there was a real wrestling fan that agrees with me, because I watched that and I thought that was the most ridiculous thing. I know a lot of Twitter loved it. A lot of wrestling Twitter really blew up about it. Scott, did you happen to see that on WrestleMania?
I did not, but I actually was familiar with the alter ego involving the Fiend. And my question involved for Dave, what are the odds of him potentially, I'd say, switching to the Fiend in the middle of the fight? Is that possible, or is he just going to stay with one character?
That would be something new. We haven't seen him do that yet. A friend of mine actually told me that at one point the WWE was hoping to run a storyline where it would be the Fiend versus Bray Wyatt. I don't know how they would do that, but whereas the alter ego split from each other. Now, a little backstory with the Fiend is at WrestleMania, he was supposed to face not John Cena, he was supposed to face Roman Reigns for the title.
Okay.
No, wait, that's not right. Roman Reigns was supposed to face Goldberg for the title. Roman Reigns pulled out because of he's got leukemia. Well, he beat it twice actually, and he has an underlying condition, so he didn't want to put himself in harm's way as far as COVID-19. So he pulled out. So Braun Strowman then went in and beat Goldberg for the title. Now, my other feeling with this match is that Braun is going to win because eventually down the road, it's going to be Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns for the title. When Roman Reigns comes back, that's I have a feeling that they're gonna keep the belt on Braun a little bit longer, and then have Bray as the Fiend eventually beat him down the road so that they can set up Roman Reigns versus the Fiend for the title.
Now, Dave, it seems to me, since I kind of lost track of wrestling, it seems like they've expanded the number of belts. Is that, am I crazy? Are there more belts than there used to be?
Well, because the factions, the WWE SmackDown and Monday Night Raw are pretty much, they had to put belts on both. They have, tag team belts on both sites.
Right.
They have the Intercontinental Championship. They have the Universal title, the United States Championship, which, we haven't seen the U.S. champion for a while. That's Sami Zayn.
What's the big title? Is there any one overarching? What is the big main title?
It's either I lost track. It's either the WWE title or the World Heavyweight title.
Okay.
I'm sorry, the WWE World Heavyweight title or the Universal title. The Universal title was introduced after the WWE title, so.
Okay.
I want to say that the WWE World Heavyweight title is the bigger prize.
Okay, because that was and that's the one that is currently held by Drew McIntyre, and that's going to go ahead and just kind of take us in to our next match, and that is one of that is on paper at least, that is the biggest mismatch of the evening, as current WWE champion Drew McIntyre goes up against ex-member of the Shield, Seth Rollins. He is the Monday Night Messiah, which is, I know that's at least a new character to me. I don't know how long he has been the Monday Night Messiah there on Monday Night Raw.
About 3 months now or so, maybe
okay.
maybe a little longer.
Okay, so I don't feel as bad here. McIntyre had a great match against probably if wrestling was actually non-scripted and an actual as it went down the way without a script, the guy that probably would be the all-time champion, that is Brock Lesnar or Brock Lesnar. Sorry. And he put a beat down on Brock at WrestleMania 36. Rollins kind of been a little cold lately. Had a little bit of an attack on the ex-NXT wrestler Kevin Owens, and that kind of left him with a little bit of egg on his face. So again, Drew McIntyre is minus 700, Seth Rollins plus 400. Any value at all here, Dave, on the underdog, or are we just going to lay that serious chalk?
Yeah, you gotta lay the serious chalk here. I don't see Drew losing this match. Little backstory on Drew McIntyre. He started a long time ago. Vince McMahon brought him to the ring one day and said he's the chosen one. Drew McIntyre then spent the next 5 or 6 years proving that he just wasn't the chosen one. So then, eventually WWE fired him. Then he went back to NXT and worked his way back up, and he bulked up massively. I mean, he got huge from when he first came to the ring. And now they're pushing him. They're pushing him hard. He was a heel, but when he won the Royal Rumble, he made a turn. The fans were it was one of the loudest reactions ever at Royal Rumble was when he won it. The fans were cheering him on, and I don't like many heels, but I did like him when he was the heel, and now it's even better that he's now a face. So I feel Rollins. It should be a great match, actually, but Rollins is just not going to win this match. It's Drew's time. He worked his ass off to get here, and I just see him keeping the belt for a while.
And did Rollins kind of make a? I guess the Shield was kind of heels, and then some of those guys kind of did face turns. Where does Rollins stand right now as far as being a heel or a baby
Rollins
face?
is a huge heel. He
okay.
After a Survivor Series, the WWE questioned his leadership, or he questioned the WWE's locker room because the Raw lost their match in Survivor Series, and so he started calling people out, and then people started turning on him, and so he became a heel, and he teamed up with a group called AOP and Murphy, and Murphy right now is his lone sidekick. For some reason, the AOP's been out of action for a little while, so Murphy could play a part in this, but I have a feeling that eventually Murphy's going to turn on Rollins.
Yeah, and I actually read some background on that, and then they said they were talking about potential turns on this show, and they talked about Murphy turning on Seth Rollins. That is, he is Seth Rollins' lone disciple at this point,
Did
right?
you read that on Bleacher Report?
I don't know if I did or not. Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds
Bleacher
like
Report
right.
had a thing on possible heel turns for this event. So
I think that's exactly where I read it. Scott, any thoughts on this one? You gonna throw a little sprinkle there on the underdog Seth Rollins, or is it Drew McIntyre and the Claymore is his finishing move, right, Dave?
Yeah, boy, that's a big move.
It is a good one, Scott.
Yeah.
Any hope here for Rollins, Scott?
No, not really. For me, I think McIntyre is going to take it. I think there's a reason why, in terms of all the fights, he's the biggest favorite on the card. The issue that you have is that Rollins, even though just based on name alone has a lot of cachet with wrestling fans, he's been terrible lately. And he kind of found a way to get a title shot despite, I don't want to say getting embarrassed, but he definitely hasn't looked sharp lately. So you kind of have to wonder why he's even getting the shot in the first place. And you could make that argument, well, maybe he's dangerous because he shouldn't be here, and then it'll make this more competitive than it should be. I think this will be very competitive. But at the end of the day, it seems like the WWE is trying to build McIntyre up, like the Dominator said before, and I just don't think Rollins is the type of guy in his current form to suddenly upset the champ. So for me, I'm going to take McIntyre. I think he should win, but I do expect this to be very close.
All right, very
Yes,
good.
some are questioning it too. Because Rollins at WrestleMania lost to Kevin Owens, so why is Rollins getting the title shot instead of Kevin Owens?
Right,
So
right.
there must be something wrong with Kevin Owens. I haven't seen him in a couple of weeks, so I don't know, but that could be a. I have a feeling that Drew eventually is down the road. There used to be a group called 3MB. It was Drew McIntyre, Heath Slater, and Jinder Mahal. And Jinder Mahal just came back, and he's ripped as well. He just came back, and I have a feeling that they're gonna eventually throw those two in a title match together down the road. So that's something to
Is
watch
Heath
for.
Slater still around?
Slater, he was released recently by the WWE as part of their cuts,
He
because
seems,
of no money coming, not as much money coming in.
he seems like one of those guys that they just never could figure out what to do with him.
Yeah, they couldn't. No.
He'd always kind of be the sacrificial lamb, you know. He
Yeah.
was yeah, no, he's kind of the oh, I don't even know who the he's kind of the Baltimore Orioles of the WWE, you know. All right, so with those out of the way, now there's going to be 3 matches that should be a blast, even to the moderate casual fan like myself. This is going to be the 3 that'll get us to tune in. And the first one is going to be the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. It's a fatal 4-way match between the New Day, Morrison and The Miz, the Forgotten Sons, and Lucha House Party. Lucha, right? Like Luchadore?
Lucha. Yeah.
So Lucha House Party. Dave, everybody's got plus odds here. New Day's plus 100, Morrison and The Miz plus 125, the Forgotten Sons plus 250, and Lucha House Party at plus 500. Big E, who I've actually liked Big E for a long time now, even before he was hooked up with the New Day with I want to say Kofi Annan, which is the head of the UN. Kofi Kingston. Two very different guys, by the way. He's had a lot of success with New Day, and they recently won their championship back. They're 8-time tag team champions. Now they have a target on their back. Dave, how do you see this one going down? Like the fatal 4-way, which means basically somebody from each team is going to be in the ring at all times, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it should be crazy. It should be just nuts.
It should be a wild ride for this one. I first let's just cross off Lucha House Party. They're not going to win it. I can pretty much tell you that right from the get go. The Forgotten Sons, I don't know a ton about them. I watched them some on NXT. They were pretty dominant down there, and they just recently made their appearance up here. And they could be the ones to beat because they've been building some momentum. But then I go back to how good a team looks prior to a pay-per-view, and then they just don't pan out during the pay-per-view. But and then Miz and Morrison, they had their time way back when, about 9 years ago. They were champs a long time, for a long time. They were called the Friday Night Delight. And then Morrison eventually came back. And
also my nickname, by the way, around my house with my wife.
And Morrison came back, and they formed a team again, and they won the belts right away. And then New Day took it from them. It was an odd thing at WrestleMania. Just one player from each team between the New Day, the Usos, and Miz and Morrison wrestled. Morrison won that match to retain the titles for both teams. But then the next.
Can't tell if the audio broke out or not.
There it is. We got you. We got me. You still got Dave?
Not sure. I don't know. But Scott, in the meanwhile, do you have any thoughts before the Dominator comes back?
I really think this one, and I'm kind of like Dave, and I don't know a ton about the Forgotten Sons. I don't think it's going to be Lucha House Party's time. I do think it's going to come down to the New Day and Morrison and The Miz, and that should be a pretty good match there between the two of them, as both of them have a pretty good price. Like I said, New Day is plus 100, Morrison and The Miz plus 125. I think, gun to my head, I'm probably make a wager on this. I think I like New Day right there at even money. And yourself, you're gonna make a small play here on this one?
For me, I think the most logical choice is the New Day. And simply put, I understand that Morrison and The Miz pretty much just had the title before losing it. And I
Right.
feel like that can go against them in the situation. Because if they just lost the title, I don't see what exactly the company has to gain by them regaining it. Unless they have some constant rivalry with the New Day where they just keep switching off the title. I don't really see much of a point to that. That seems like kind of a waste of time. If the New Day works so hard to get the title for the first time, and then they're just going to hand it right back immediately after, I just don't see how that's realistic. In terms of the other two, the Forgotten Sons, they're kind of new, as the Dominator alluded to, and I think it's a little bit too early. And they could potentially win the title sometime down the road, but I don't think it's going to be right now. And for Lucha House Party, no, I don't see that. I think that there is a reason why they have the longest odds here. So for me, I think it's pretty much a two-horse race between the New Day and Morrison and the Mitts. And for me, I think New Day should end up winning because I don't really see the point in them handing their belt back right after they got it. I don't think that makes any sense.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat with you. Although, as far as entertainment value, I really like watching the luchadores wrestle. The not just this team, but the couple that are sprinkled throughout the series. The athleticism, the moves, the fearlessness, the high flying. I really enjoy their style. But I agree that it's not going to be the night for a Lucha House Party. I think it's possible the Forgotten Sons maybe are going to be able to are going to sneak in there. But I think at the end of the day, I'm going to have to go with you. I think it's going to be an old day for the New Day.
You don't think it's too early for Forgotten Sons? I don't know. It seems like
I think it's a little early. Yes.
Yeah, it seems like they came out of nowhere. They have a title shot now, and they could potentially win it. But are they really going to go anywhere within the next year or so? I feel like they can just take the title a year or two down the road and try to give some of these other people a chance to build up their resume so that when the Forgotten Sons take it from them, it'll look more impressive in the future.
I think that's solid logic. I do think that it is going to be the Forgotten Sons' turn at some point, but I'm with you. I think it's a little early. So we have lost the Dominator. Scott, we having any luck on getting him back?
No, he actually left the chat, so I guess his connection maybe timed out or something. I don't know. If he comes back, we'll let you know. But until then, I guess we're gonna have to just continue with the two of us.
Okay, so this should be a lot of fun.
Yes, this should be a lot of fun.
Oh, well, at least we waited till we got to the three important matches to lose our expert.
We picked perfect timing for the most unpredictable matches to lose our expert handicapper in the top.
Okay, so let's talk about the Money in the Bank thing, because I will tell you that I did know that they were fighting, climbing the corporate ladder, which is, say what you want about the McMahons. That's a great term right there, as they have to battle their way through the building in Connecticut. I am kind of disappointed that it's already taped, although I understand from a technical standpoint, all the blocking and all the shots that you have to do. I'm sure if it took them 8 hours to film the Boneyard match with just the two guys and, like Dave said, a couple of extras, I can't imagine shooting this in less than 10 or 12 hours.
Well, I was going to say, I'm assuming that during the actual broadcast, you're going to be getting a ton of different director cuts and stuff, because you might have to splice some stuff together here and there.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not even a matter of just the logistics behind it. You also have to worry about injuries. I mean, I know that this is choreographed and everything like that, but when you have that many people in the ring at the same time,
right,
things can get ugly. And the last thing you want to do is have a live accident where somebody's leg completely snaps in the opposite direction. It's not exactly a good thing for some of the fighters, especially for their careers. So for that reason, I understand why you kind of have to do it in advance, because you might have a lot of things where it looks good on paper, and then you try it, and then somebody's leg ends up in a spot it probably shouldn't be, and then the whole thing's an absolute disaster. So you don't really have a choice.
Right, and they're going to be fighting in a lot of unfamiliar circumstances. Like in boardrooms, in the office venues, the break room probably. So yeah, you're going to have a lot of moves and a lot of things going on in situations and locations that they're not familiar with. They obviously practice in the ring hundreds and thousands of hours, but they probably don't have much experience doing falls in the boardroom, or things like that. So And it's going to be interesting. Now, the thing I did not know about this that Dave talked about was they're both going to be going on at the same time, which I don't know how that's going to work when they both reach the top of the building. You're going to have obviously 2 briefcases hanging there, and it's quite a situation where they have different ladders and everything. I just don't know how all that is going to work. It should be complete and utter mayhem as they finally reach the top of the building. I wonder how long it is going to take them to reach the top. I wonder how much of the actual fighting will be going, because I guess they're going to have excuse me, and I'd love to have the Dominator's thoughts on this, but as I understand it, they're going to have a ring on the lower floor and then have a ring on the upper floor. Is that how you get it, Scott?
That was my interpretation. I actually had reached out to the Dominator, and he said that his internet went out. So he potentially will be rejoining us in a couple of minutes. But until then, that's how I got the interpretation. Then again, I'm not sure if maybe they left some openings in the ground, and maybe it's the same thing where it's kind of going to be like a cage match type of height, and then maybe they'll jump through. I don't really know. I probably would assume that there would be another ring attached to it. But overall, yeah, I'm expecting chaos. I feel like it should be chaos if it's going to be the main event of the actual card. And anytime you got roughly 6 people in it, yeah, I think it's going to be pretty crazy. So I know that the Dominator actually rejoined us. So maybe he can
There he is.
Thoughts.
Sorry about that. My internet just went out.
It's all good. We held it down. But you came back just in time, actually, because we were talking about the main events on the card.
Okay.
We ended up Dave. We ended up going with the New Day. Scott and I both like New Day in a small lean over Morrison and the Miz. We thought the Lucha House Party was not going to win, just like you said. And the Forgotten Sons time will probably be coming, but we don't think it's quite here yet. Does that match up very well with how you feel?
No, I'm gonna take the Forgotten Sons. I feel that they're gonna start to get a push from WWE. The New Day, they're great champions, and a fatal 4-way usually never works out well for the other teams. For some reason, the team that's got the odds against them usually comes out on top. But this time, I'm gonna take a small play on the Forgotten Sons. I feel that their time is now.
Yeah, we got a little underdog money here.
Very good, very good. There's our first underdog sniff of the night at plus 250. If you want to take a little sprinkle on that, that is it is going to be a time for the Forgotten Sons. They will be forgotten no more. So, Dave, we were talking about the Money in the Bank match with the ladders and everything. Are they going to have a ring on the lower floor as well, Dave, where they start, or are they just going to start like in the parking garage, or how is it going to progress to the top floor?
They're going to start in the lobby and fight their way to the top. Basically,
okay.
They're fighting up the corporate ladder. Basically, I actually went to Google Earth and I looked at the building, and it's about 10 stories high. So it should be a fun, wild ride and you're not having just one group of 6. You're having 2 groups of 6 fighting at the same time. So
right.
I'm assuming that there's going to be multiple rings, one of each on different floors. I'm assuming that's a fair assessment of how the layout is.
No, the only ring is on top floor, the roof of the building.
Okay.
So
you're saying on the way to the roof, they're just going to be slamming each other into walls and into some office objects? Is that basically?
Yeah, that's there's a lot of glass in there. I can see someone going through some glass. That's always fun.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's take a look first on the ladies' side. And quick reminder, these will be both going on at the same time. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know how you're going to have 2 separate briefcases there, but I'm sure it's going to be entertaining. Shayna Baszler, Dave, is the prohibitive favorite here, at least as far as having 6 competitors. She is minus 150. Nia Jax, who also qualified on Monday Night Raw, is plus 300. Lacey Evans, plus 400. Asuka, plus 600. She was also the third one coming out of Monday Night Raw. And then you got Dana Brooke and Carmella. Dave, first of all, who can we throw out of there? Can we throw out Asuka, Dana Brooke, and Carmella?
Well, it's actually Asuka.
Asuka, that's right. I'm sorry. I knew that was wrong, and I actually watched that match yesterday, or I watched the interview, but with the three of them, and I knew. Yeah, you're right. Scott, you thought
I
it was
think
going to be. You thought it was just going to be the guys from UFC whose name I mispronounced. Oh no.
It happens. You throw in some nicknames here and there, and eventually get used to it. But every now and then you see one where it's spelled one way and it's pronounced a completely other way, and you're supposed to remember it even though you heard it pronounced maybe once in your lifetime. It happens.
Yeah, very good.
So it's all good.
Appreciate that.
I made money on the over yesterday, so I can't
what's
really
that?
complain. I made money on the over yesterday.
Yeah,
on the
catch the over 2.5. Absolutely. Yeah. Dave, Shayna Baszler comes from from cage fighting background, right?
yes, she's a former MMA wrestler. So, she dominated at the Elimination Chamber. She took out all 5 women that were in that match. Then she went on to lose to Becky Lynch at WrestleMania, and I really thought she was going to win it. But words behind the scenes were that Vince wasn't totally happy with her in-ring performance. She dominated and she was great down in NXT. But for some reason, whether it be stage fright or whatever, she just didn't look as smooth in her first few matches up here. So maybe that could be a reason why they didn't let her win the title. And she is the favorite in this one, and I do like her. I don't like many heels, as I said, but I for some reason I like her. She's ruthless and she's got an intensity about her, and she's dominant. And Nia Jax has been dominant lately, but now it goes back to my kind of rule where if they're dominant beforehand, they're not going to be dominant at the pay-per-view. Sometimes WWE is very predictable with that. But she has just been mowing over people, including Shayna Baszler of late. But this is going to be a wild ride. You can definitely rule out Carmella. Carmella does have, she is the first woman. They introduced this event, I believe it was 3 years ago, and she's the first woman to win this ladder match. And Asuka won it also. And so, but I think it's going to come down to Jax, Asuka, and Baszler. Lacey Evans, she's iffy. She could be part of the first group or part of the bottom group. I like her. She came up. She was a heel, but then she turned face. But I just see Shayna Baszler. This is a match that's meant for her. It's brutal. It's ruthless. And I mean, you can do anything you want. And those are the kind of matches that are just built for this woman from the MMA background. So I have a feeling that it's going to be Shayna Baszler that takes this one.
All right. That's very interesting. So if you were going to take a spin on one of the underdogs, you'd probably go to Nia Jax, but you really like Baszler in this situation, even laying the -150.
Yeah, I think Nia would be the second choice.
Okay.
But I have to go with Shayna. I just feel that her holding the briefcase, the WWE can get a lot of play with that over the next. She has a year to cash it in, so over the next bunch of months or whatever. And I also think that if she does win it, then she's not the kind that's going to do a sneak attack to use the briefcase. She's the kind that's just going to come out and say, "I will challenge you here, and I will cash in my briefcase at the point." She's not. She's an in-your-face kind of wrestler. So.
Okay. All right. Very good. And last but not least, let's talk about the men's side of the Money in the Bank. 6 competitors there as well. The recently unburied AJ Styles is back. He is the favorite at -125. Aleister Black +200. Otis, who's finally hooked up with the love of his life at +400. Daniel Bryan, yes, he is in the match, and he is +600. Baron Corbin +800. And Rey Mysterio, speaking of the Lucha wrestlers, he is +1200. Scott, David, was it surprising to see AJ Styles come back to fight the last leg of the gauntlet match there on Monday Night Raw?
Actually, yeah, I was very shocked at that. There were some reports beforehand that it could either be Brock Lesnar or Jinder Mahal who was going to take the place of Apollo Crews in that last match. But seeing AJ come back, I so want to go with Aleister Black. I like Aleister Black. He's got that dark side to him. He's very intense. And that black mass kick that he has is just as devastating as the Claymore kick from Drew McIntyre. So, but I have to go with my gut in this one, and I have to feel that it's going to be AJ Styles that's going to win the belt in this one. You can count out definitely the Lucha, the Rey Mysterio, and Daniel Bryan. Those I cannot see either one of those winning it. So I think it's going to come down to eventually Black versus AJ at the top. One of them are going to be at the top of the ladder, and one's going to knock the other one off, and that's how it's going to end. But I so want to go with Black. I just don't think it's his time yet. So I'm going to have to go with AJ Styles.
Scott, got any thoughts on the men's side here? Anybody going to upset AJ Styles being the small favorite there?
For me, I actually do not think Styles is going to win. I'm kind of going to shock some people here. The main reason why is because I feel like Styles doesn't exactly need the win. And when I say that, I mean that I think Styles is personally in line for probably a main event fight with McIntyre anyway in the future. So I think that he doesn't necessarily need the briefcase at any point to still move up, so to speak, in the WWE ranks. He's a well-known guy. People are going to think he's going to win. I think he's probably going to fight McIntyre anyway, potentially for a title in the future. So I don't think he really needs it. For that reason, I actually think that there is some value on Black as well. I think you could make the argument for maybe Corbin, but I don't see that happening. So for me, I actually kind of agree with the Dominator here. I kind of like Black at the current price of plus 200. Would it surprise me if Styles wins? No, but I think Black could probably use the title more, and I think that the WWE might have it in the cards for him to win. So based on the price available, I think Black at plus 200 makes a lot of sense.
All right, Dave, what do you think of what do you think of Scott's breakdown there?
Well, that's a pretty good breakdown. I mean, Corbin. There's been 23 people that have won the Money in the Bank, and only 4 of them have failed to cash in, and Corbin's actually one of them. He squandered his chance. I believe it was John Cena that took it from him. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but John Cena's also one that lost it once he won the Money in the Bank. But I just don't see Corbin winning it. Otis, now he's already won. He got Mandy Rose. So, it's going to come down to those two. One or the other are going to win it. So, Scott may not be far off on this one, and Styles, you're right, he doesn't need it. Black does need it more. But I just have a feeling that, they brought Styles back from the dead, basically. And I think he's gonna squeak by.
Okay.
Do you agree, though, that there is a chance that Styles could fight McIntyre in the future for a belt sometime relatively soon?
Yeah, that could be. They could be setting that up also once McIntyre gets over with Rollins.
Yeah.
But I mean that's a main event kind of match. They could set up that for somewhere down the road, like maybe I'd say SummerSlam.
Well, I was saying, do you think Styles needs to win this in order to get that fight against McIntyre, or no?
No. If he wins it, he can just attack McIntyre anytime he wants with the briefcase.
Yeah.
So
That's what I was saying. So
yeah.
I'm kind of curious of that.
Yeah, I don't. I think that if he doesn't win it, he will still get a shot down the road against McIntyre.
Okay.
And Dave, what happened to what kind of precipitated the fall of Daniel Bryan? I mean, I know that he had retired due to an injury, and then he came back, but he doesn't seem to have reclaimed his place of prominence in the WWE universe. What are your opinion on the plans that they have for Daniel Bryan going forward?
I don't know. Daniel when he went away and then he came back, he came back as a face and then he turned heel. And for a while there, he held the belt as a heel. And then he went back to being good again. He teamed up. It was when Rollins or when Reigns was in a feud, I think with I want to say Bobby Lashley and Corbin and his cronies. And Daniel Bryan came back to help out. So, right now he's more seems like a bit player than anything.
Right. Right. And
But I don't know if they have any other plans for him in the future. There's a chance they maybe bring him back CM Punk, which would be nice.
Did CM Punk totally flop in the UFC?
I don't really want to talk about that. That was a painful experience for a little while there.
I know he struggled early, then I kind of lost track. Did it never get better for him?
Yeah, it never got better for him.
He got embarrassed by Mickey Gall in his first fight, and Mickey Gall turned out to be, I'd say, mediocre, who ended up beating Sage Northcutt in the end. And then he ended up fighting against some other guy making one of his first UFC fights, and he got absolutely embarrassed, like 30-26 on every card. So, yeah, CM Punk with his UFC career, I give him props for trying and for turning down the recognition he had to try to actually, compete in a more dangerous combat sport, but it backfired tremendously. I expect him to go back to the WWE.
He is no Brock Lesnar, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, Lesnar is a rare breed where he was originally the UFC champion, then he went to wrestling, then he came back. He beat Mark Hunt, tested positive for steroids again, and then he ended up leaving. And Ronda Rousey tried the same thing in WWE, and then she recently left WWE, and I don't really know what she's up to besides having a family.
Yeah, so, that's what she left it. Yeah, she left it just because she wanted to have a family, but then eventually she just decided that she wasn't going to come back.
Yeah, she also badmouthed
signed through 2022, I believe. So
yeah, I mean, Ronda also badmouthed some of the fans with WWE, and it seemed like she was trying to burn a bridge that didn't exactly need to be burned.
Right.
I'm not really sure why she kind of went through that. Either or, I do expect CM Punk to come back at some point. I think they'll probably save his return for some massive event in the future, potentially SummerSlam. But I would not be surprised to see CM Punk back in the fold at some point.
Did CM Punk have a combat sports background before he tried to make the jump to UFC?
I want to say that he had a slight background, but nothing substantial.
Yeah, okay. I'm not sure I just know he's from Chicago, and when he first came up, he had AJ Lee, who I believe he eventually married. She was one of the hotter wrestlers, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
But and he had Big E in his corner at the time. Big E was kind of like his bodyguard.
Right.
So.
I've heard that. Do you have any thoughts on the ladder match from both sides? We didn't get your thoughts on the ladder matches, Scott.
Me?
Yeah.
I really have a hard time separating who I'd like to see win. I'd really like to see the chunky guy who got the good-looking girl walk away with the title. That's Otis. I don't know. There's just somehow I relate to him, but I'm with you guys. I look at that list and I don't see anybody else out there other than Aleister Black that is really and you have to look at what the company wants to promote. It's kind of different than a normal quote unquote normal sporting event, as you kind of have to look at the corporate angle as well. And I kind of in the camp with you guys. I think AJ Styles is certainly going to be in line for a title bout, whether he gets through the briefcase or not. That I don't know, but I think it is going to come down to Aleister Black and AJ Styles. I think you can, if you wanted to take a long shot, I think Baron Corbin might be worth a small sprinkle at 8-1 just because of the price. But the other guys, I just don't see them being elevated to that place of prominence in the WWE universe at this time.
And I'm assuming that we're all on Baszler to win the women's one, right?
I am, yes.
Yeah, I am too. I think it makes too much sense, especially I think that Dave touched upon it. Everyone thought that Baszler was going to win her last fight, and then she ended up losing. And I think that even though she did lose that fight, I do think that the organization is still promoting her, and they're still giving her a bit of a push. So for that reason, even though she lost her last fight when people probably expected her to win, I don't think she's suddenly going to go into a massive losing streak. I expect her to bounce back here.
Let me ask the Dominator. Dave, do you think they might have scripted Baszler to lose that last fight to keep her just a little bit humble, to just kind of keep her in her place just a little bit?
That could be because, when she first made her appearance on Raw, she actually she took a bite out of Becky Lynch's back of her neck. I mean, she got up, she was bloody.
Right.
And so, they made her out as this incredible dominating person, someone that Becky Lynch was never going to be able to beat. And then Becky Lynch beat her. So, they could, to hold on to her, to make her a little bit more humble, to make her, so that it's not so predictable with her. Maybe, they had her lose that match. So.
Okay. All right. So we're going to do our recap here. Feet to the fire, boys. It's time to pick men's Money in the Bank. David, who you got? Let's say, who's going to dominate that one, if you will?
I got AJ Styles winning that one.
Scotty, Aleister Black breakthrough, or is it going to be AJ Styles?
I got Aleister Black. I just think that he needs it more. And I think Styles, even though he just came back and it would make a lot of sense for him to win, I still think he's going to get a title shot against McIntyre in the future. And I think that he might shockingly win that one to put himself back on the map.
All right. I'm going to have to go with AJ Styles here. I mean, after all, he just clawed his way through 6 feet of dirt after being buried alive by The Undertaker in the Boneyard match. To me, working his way through 5 other competitors with Money in the Bank, that should be a piece of cake compared to getting out of certain death there beneath 6 feet of ground. So I like AJ Styles here as well. In all seriousness, I think they brought him back for a reason. I think that his surprise appearance at the Gauntlet match was put in. Dave, do you think that ultimately if Cruz, because obviously if you watch that tape, he doesn't really look like he's injured.
No,
so,
he's not.
Do you think he had COVID misgivings? Do you think he was in a position where he really didn't want to go forward with the virus out there, or do you think he sat out for another reason?
I've been trying to search. Even my friend who gets all his information, he's from Tennessee. He's been searching too. Neither one of us have been trying to find out why he was held out of this match.
Okay. All right. So. Good enough. All right. So we've got 2 for Styles, 1 for Black there, and we're moving on to the ladies. I think we all agree it's Baszler's time. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, personally, if in terms of value, I know minus 150 still sounds relatively steep with 6 people. I personally think Baszler is probably the best bet on the card, in my opinion. I just don't really see anybody standing in her way.
All right, and moving on down to the Tag Team Championship, SmackDown Fatal 4-Way. Scott and I think it is time for the New Day, and the Dominator. He's going to take a little sprinkle on a 2.5 to 1 shot there with the Forgotten Sons. So you might want to keep in mind that Scott and I know almost nothing about the WWE, while the Dominator actually has quite a wealth of knowledge and information. So make your picks accordingly there.
Just a question there, by the way. Since both of them are available at plus prices, I know one's plus 100, one's plus 250. Is it ever worth, just from a betting perspective, to potentially take multiple options in one given fight, or is that too dangerous of a proposition, Dave?
It's not something that I've done, so
fair enough.
So you could basically just get a free.
You could, that way you're
kind of self-hedging it, because the reason why we all agreed that Lucha doesn't really have a shot, and I don't see how Morrison and Wiz can get it back after just losing it. So
right.
I know that's a hard name to pronounce, but that's actually The Miz.
Oh, sorry.
So basically, if you wanted to do that, you could take the Forgotten Sons and the New Day. You basically get a free 3-2 bet on the Forgotten Sons.
Am I wrong for thinking that it's really just between the 2 of them? And because I just don't see how Morrison's going to lose the belt, then suddenly get it back, and I don't think Lucha has a shot.
No, it's between those 2 teams, definitely.
So if you wanted to hedge, you could take both of those. You take New Day at plus 100, take Forgotten Sons at plus 250. You're basically just getting a free ticket at 3-2 on the Forgotten Sons.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah.
I mean that's how I would view it, but
okay.
I don't know.
All right. Not a bad strategy. And then as far as the other 3 matches go, I think we're all in agreement that it's going to be a chalky night. Drew McIntyre going to dominate, take care of business against Seth Rollins. Maybe not dominate, but should be a good match. But
I think it'll be close, but I just think McIntyre's too much at the end.
McIntyre prevails. Okay. So we did have the one really good matchup here, and this is probably the biggest question mark as far as the one-on-one matchups between Strowman and Bray Wyatt. I think, did we all lean Strowman here? Is that how that ended up?
The way that I remembered it was that we all liked Strowman, but we agreed that if it was the Fiend, we thought that Wyatt would win. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I that's what I think they're setting up for later on down the road, the Bray Wyatt versus, or the Fiend versus
I mentioned the
Braun
idea of
Strowman.
maybe having the Fiend come out midway, and I think that would definitely be a unique thing to talk about. Like if he's getting humiliated and then he switches to his alter ego, I think that's definitely an option. But I really think that you're betting on whether or not you think the Fiend's going to show up. And according to most people and most opinions, it seems like that's most likely not the case. I'm just throwing that out there as a hypothetical.
So, yeah, it's not something that I've seen him do. So, but it would make it more interesting. That's for sure.
Strange times call for strange measures. We'll have to see what happens there. And then our first match of the evening, the SmackDown Women's Championship, Bayley, who's held the belt a long time, one of her toughest challenges yet, as she goes against Tamina. But we've got Bayley at minus 500, and I think all three of us agree that Bayley retains the belt there. I wish we could take a sniff at plus 300, but I just don't see it happening.
I just don't think Tamina's going to be the person to overtake.
Yeah, they want Bayley versus Sasha somewhere down the road. They want one of them to turn on each other. Tamina, like I said, she shows up once every few years. They give her a little push, but she never really does much. So, she's not going to do much here. It's Bayley's night.
All right. Good enough. Should be a lot of fun. I know that I'll actually be watching. I extended my free month. I actually ponied up $10.
Well, you accidentally extended your free month, so I don't know if that really counts, but yes.
You forgot to cancel the subscription?
All right. So maybe I did, but no, I did actually keep. I wanted to do a little research for this as well. So, and now I'm kind of locked in. Well, I like how they put them about 5 weeks apart, so you can't ever get two of them for the same month.
Just a quick question though for the Dominator: do you have a favorite play or anything that you just like a lot for the value alone, which is your favorite play on the card?
That would. I guess that would have not much value in it, but
mine would be Baszler personally.
I see Baszler as a very strong play.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Scott? You have any thoughts?
Well, and I know the Dominator liked the Forgotten Sons there at plus 250. So if you wanted to take
I just don't see how Baszler loses for me. I think that there's a reason why she's minus 150. I think there's a difference between loving the value on an underdog in a 4-way match and then loving the favorite in a 6-way match. I think that there's a reason why Baszler's minus 150. So, and I think the fact that she literally just lost, even though the organization has been building her up, just makes me believe that she's just going to come back around and just dominate. So I think Baszler's probably the best bet on the card, my opinion. But take that with a grain of salt because I literally know nothing about WWE.
Very good. Dave, any final thoughts from the Dominator?
No, you were talking at the beginning about the ratings on Monday night. There is talk right now of Vince McMahon is in contract talks apparently with both ESPN and Fox to sell his company.
He's trying to sell the whole organization, I thought.
Yeah, he's trying to sell the whole company. He's in talks with, I think it's both ESPN and Fox.
Been a very interesting year for Vince McMahon. Starts a football league, then it gets shut down. Then he's apparently selling the entire buildup of his baby. It's been a very interesting 2020.
I know, man. I've followed Vince all the way since back when he was I've followed wrestling since Vince was an announcer in the ring, or one of the commentators. So Saturday morning wrestling.
He's made quite the career and reputation for himself, but it appears that I don't know if it's just the lack of viewership, or I know of course COVID doesn't help, but I don't know. It kind of seems like he's had kind of enough. Am I wrong for reading into it that way?
No, I think it's time, and talking about, the COVID, I talked to my friend the other day and I told him, watching these matches now, it's different the first time I saw it without fans. But now it's just like I get into the matches and I don't even really notice that there's no fans there anymore.
I agree. I agree. It was weird to watch, but it's kind of become, I hate to use this overused phrase, it's kind of become the new normal.
Yeah.
You get used to it. I mean, there's no real way around it. It is what it is. I mean, I know that was the case with Korean baseball that they've been having on TV. People were panicking, saying, "What about no fans? How crazy it is!" And you just realize, "Oh yeah, it's still baseball.
Right.
People like it anyway." I mean, it's a little bit weirder with wrestling when you see people like Rob Gronkowski pumping up the imaginary crowd. I think that's a little bit excessive. But I think that if you tell the wrestlers not to interact as much with the crowd that isn't there, then it becomes less awkward. And if you focus more on the actual wrestling bout itself, then everything flows more naturally. So I really think it depends on how the wrestlers either engage or purposefully don't engage with the invisible crowd. I think that's kind of the secret to making it less noticeable.
One of the things I've noticed is in the beginning, when the first couple of times that I saw it without fans, everything was very quiet. Okay, now it's like Vince and the powers that be told the wrestlers to, a little bit more trash talking, make a little bit more noise. There was only one announcer at the beginning, and now there's 3 at every event. So, to make a little bit more noise, because it was very quiet in the beginning. And now you have the wrestlers, talking trash. There's more wrestlers outside the ring.
I think it's smart.
Factions and all that stuff.
You got to manufacture your own noise in the end.
Yeah, so they're kind of manufacturing their own noise recently. So that's made it a little bit better.
I do miss the chance of This Is Awesome.
Yeah.
For really good matches there on the pay-per-views especially. And I will tell you, one of the first things I saw with the no crowds was Daniel Bryan doing his yes, and that certainly fell flat. He just kind of, it's sad. He just kind of looks silly doing his yes.
Yeah.
It's just him.
My friend down in Tennessee asked a good question. He's like, "There's no fans there. Why the hell do they need the microphones?"
Right. Yeah. Legitimate question. And it kind of it seems like when you had a full crowd, maybe these guys were speaking to each other about the next move a little bit more. Do you think that's a possibility?
Oh yeah, you can tell when they go into the corner, they put their head closer to the next wrestler's ear, and I have a feeling that they're telling them at that point, some of the moves that they're going to do next.
Okay, remember we got a suplex coming here, so get ready. Absolutely. All right, well that should be a lot of fun. Dominator, thanks for joining us, and and we make fun of wrestling a little bit, but the Dominator is well versed in a number of sports, wrestling just being one of them. Make sure and check out his stuff once the league start getting on. I will be having a preview of it on Winners and Winers come definitely early Saturday morning after the Friday Night Raw is over, or Friday Night SmackDown is over. So very good. So stop by. The odds could change based on what happens on Friday Night Raw. So make sure that you stop by if you're interested in having the most up-to-date information and having a real shot at making a few ducats with the WWE Money in the Bank special Sunday night. Make sure you stop by winnersandwiners.com and check out the Dominator's piece, which should be posted sometime late Saturday morning, early Saturday afternoon, something like that, and give people plenty of time.
I want to try and get it up by Saturday morning.
Okay. Well, who doesn't, Dave? Good enough. Scott, you're gonna be watching. You have free month, buddy. You get yourself signed up.
I'll say maybe, because I don't want to ruin any credibility I might have created during this video. So all right. I'll hit you with maybe. I'll check my calendar and I'll get.
And to me, credibility for a sport, if you can bet on it, it's a sport. I'm sorry, guys. It's
no, and then my personal credibility when it comes to actually talking about WWE. I didn't mean.
Oh yeah, we you and I, we kind of scrambled to do a little last minute research here. So
I tried to hold my own.
You guys did very well.
So,
I'll say that.
I thought I was particularly impressed by Scott.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Dave set the bar pretty high, so I tried.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like Dennis Miller doing Monday Night Football. It's you just do your best. But yeah, Dave, the Dominator, he's one of the certainly not just at Winners and Whiners, but in the nation. I would put you, Dave, in one of the top 50 in the world of knowledge about the WWE and how all that breaks down. And there's a reason. So keep up the great work. It is your time to shine, my friend. A guy who's kind of basically, we talked about it a little bit. You're kind of basically an introvert, Dave, as am I. I'm a weird introvert extrovert kind of guy. But you've been a WWE fan, so this is your wheelhouse, buddy. This is the summer of the Dominator right here.
Maybe we can do these, for each pay-per-view. That would be great.
Love to do it. Absolutely.
I'm fine with that.
What do we have next, Dave? Is it TLC next?
That sounds about right. Yeah, TLC. That's always fun too. That should be fun. And with the COVID and the no fans and all, they can do a little bit more creativity with the taping of these.
Right.
Some of the matches, like the ladder match and the Boneyard match. So you may see some more cinematic matches coming up soon. So
let's give Scott a last chance to shine. Scott, do you know what TLC stands for?
No, I do not.
Tables, ladders, and chairs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I was thinking, I didn't know that the television channel that shows like Say Yes to the Dress and stuff was named Tables, Ladders, and Chairs.
Yes, that's the Tables, Ladders, and Chairs network.
That channel just suddenly got a lot more interesting to me. I'll keep that in mind.
Very, very good. All right, so make sure you check out the Dominator's piece on the WWE Money in the Bank special. He's also a fantastic handicapper as far when it comes to hockey. Pretty good baseball handicapper, pretty good football capper. So the Dominator, he's kind of a jack of all trades. There, he keeps his light under a bushel sometimes, but he's a very, very good handicapper. So anytime you get a chance to read a piece from the Dominator, make sure that you get your butt down and do that. Scott, we're going to be doing our thing. We'll be back tomorrow talking a little bit of NFL. We're going to start with the NFC wide receivers and some of the props there. So make sure you guys join us on Friday as we head back into the NFL. Should be a fun week. Should be a fun weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big day for the NFL. I don't know if you heard. There's a 3-hour schedule revealed tonight on ESPN. It's amazing. I kind of wish that they would just leak it on the internet and we could all just move on with our lives. But at the end of the day, you need some programming. And if the draft was stretched to 3 days and day 3 was 7 hours, I feel like going through a schedule for 3 hours seems right. So, it is what it is.
I guess, but, we already know with the teams they're playing. We already know which ones are at home, which ones are away. I mean, I guess we're looking at the national TV games, who's playing on Monday night and all.
Well, that's assuming
stuff.
the schedule even stays normal, which is a completely separate animal that they usually don't have to deal with during most seasons. So, it should be interesting. We can talk maybe briefly about the schedules tomorah. But for the most part,
Selection Sunday in college basketball only takes an hour.
Yeah, that is true. So going through the schedule.
What a great point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the NFL's milking it here just a little bit. So.
A little bit, but I don't know.
We'll touch on the schedule. Maybe talk about the national TV games that are going to be on.
It shouldn't impact the props though that much because we already know basically who they're going to be playing. So it shouldn't impact the props. We'll go through some of the wide receivers tomorrow.
They have announced that they're not going to play any of the overseas games on the schedule this season. There's going to be no games in Mexico, no games in London.
I know Jacksonville has to play at home. How brutal.
I was going to say, good news, people of Jacksonville. You get them for a couple more home games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something like that.
That's fantastic. All right, guys. Thanks very much. We had a lot of fun here today. We always try to have a little bit of fun, impart a little bit of knowledge on our show, and I think we have succeeded at both of those things today. So for that, I thank Scott, as always. Thank my guest, the Dominator. Great job. You have acquitted yourself extremely well once again, sir. And we will certainly have you on going forward. And maybe not even just wrestling. Maybe we'll have you on to talk about your expertise in some of the other areas. That would be a blast. So for myself, for the Dominator. What's that?
I said I'm always available.
Good deal. We know where to find you, sir.
Yeah.
Excellent. So for myself, for the Dominator, who's always available, by the way, for Scott Reichel, everybody have a great day. Have fun. Enjoy the NFL schedule, the big reveal tonight. And we'll be back tomorrow to talk about that and the wide receivers in the NFC. So it should be a lot of fun. Until then, I am Scott Steen. Thanks very much for joining us. Make sure, as always, you check out winnersandwhiners.com for not just the Dominator's great content, but for great content from all of our contributors over there, from Chris Kabbalah, from Winning Willie and his esports domination. And I'm assuming we've got some Korean baseball stuff getting cooked up. So I've made my second Korean baseball bet. We'll see if it goes better than it did yesterday. And but until then, you guys, thanks very much for stopping by. Stay healthy, everybody. We're going to get through this. We're hopefully coming down the home stretch. We'll see what happens as the country gradually reopens. Fingers crossed, and nothing but good thoughts from all of us to all of you. All right? Take care. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.